Hello everyone, this is part 6 of What If Naruto Has the Golden Eyes, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The group of 5 stood in shock at what Kit said. Why was Naruto being arrested? What? That can't be right. He helped us fight off the droids. Ahsoka shouted. I'm sorry, but orders are orders, Kit said, taking a step forward. But he helped us. How can you arrest an ally? Anakin asked calmly. Making connections is forbidden to the Jedi, so to not show any emotions toward a stranger is crucial. We have word that Naruto got an order to assassinate you, Anakin. We were sent to stop that from happening, Kit said while taking another step forward. But he turned it down. I was there when he refused the offer, Anakin said in a somewhat urgent voice. It almost seemed like he was pleading. Again, I am sorry but we need to take him in, Kit said. The soldiers behind him began to load the guns, getting gasps from the native species. All the creatures in the village saw how hard the 3 Jedi and the mercenary fought for their freedom was beginning to question the Republic's loyalties. Naruto, who stayed quiet during the entire conversation, knew that the other Jedi lost the argument and began to try and figure a way out. Naruto's eyes darted around at a marvelous speed as he tried to come up with something. Naruto's eyes finally landed on the general of the droids that they defeated earlier. He was concealing an emergency beacon. So he is calling for reinforcements. It's going to take them a while to get here, so I'm going to have to avoid capture, Naruto said as he stared back into Kit's eyes. Grief shot through Kit's eyes for a split second until they returned to their impassive state before. Let's add up the odds here. There are at least 20 clone troopers around me, ready to shoot me if I disobey any of their requests, and 3 Jedi and a Padawan. I won't be able to use my Sharingan for a bit, but I do have enough chakra to last me a good long time. Good thing that little stunt I pulled didn't damage eyes permanently. My vision is healed completely, which means I can at least my eyes to see, but not predict movements as well as I could with the Sharingan. Just another day being me, Naruto thought as he thought of a way to break out of the circle of troopers. Please, Naruto, come quietly and the Senate will show some leisure in your trials, Kit tried to offer without making himself sound concerned. Naruto grinned. What's so funny? Kit asked. Naruto returned to his emotionless state. Oh, it's just that the council on my planet also hated me, so it's no surprise to me that they want me dead, Naruto said as he looked back into the eyes of Kit. Kit immediately knew what was going to happen. Naruto slipped his arms from Ahsoka's and Sakura's shoulders and pushed them away with a small blast of black chakra. The two stumbled back until they regained their footing about 3 feet away. Anakin turned to Naruto in time to see him charging a massive amount of chakra into his left hand. Naruto slammed his hand into the group, sending a shockwave which sent the 3 Jedi and Padawan into various clone troopers who too slammed into the ground. As everyone was regained their sturdiness, Naruto took it upon himself to get the hell out of there. Some of the more veteran troopers pulled their pistols and fired at the retreating mercenary. Naruto quickly pulled his lightsaber and blocked the blasts, sending straight back at the soldiers. The 3 Jedi were soon on their feet, after a good 5 minutes, and following the white-cloaked man. Naruto turned to observe his work as he retracted his lightsaber and placed it back onto his belt. So the Jedi are the only ones that are following. As to be expected, they are inclined to uphold what their superiors order them to do, Naruto thought as he continued to run. He's stopping. Sakura shouted to the others as they ran to about 15 feet away from Naruto until stopping. Naruto faced them in the center of an enormous field with the grass that reached up to their ankles. The 3 Jedi stood in a line with Sakura on the right, Kit on the left, and Anakin in the center. I see that you are resisting arrest. Then we must take you by force, Kit said as all 3 Jedi pulled their lightsabers out at the same time. Naruto stared blankly back as he slipped his black lightsaber out while holding it in his traditional reverse grip. Naruto stood a style that they rarely ever seen anymore. Naruto had his left hand stretched out before him while his lightsaber seemed to be touching his back or arm because it seemed so close. Think of the stance of the apprentice in Soul Calibur 4 but with his back not so bent over and his legs in a more relaxed state. I don't that by the way. The two forces simply stared at each other with the sun burning brightly high in the center of the sky. Anakin, getting irritated that nothing was happening, charged Naruto on the attempt to capture. This was, of course, his bodyguard until a couple of minutes ago. At about 6 feet into the charge, Naruto held up a hand sign that made a large puff of smoke. Anakin was forced to block a counter-charging Naruto. As they continued the power struggle, another Naruto slid out of the smoke and went for the kill. Sakura quickly went to the aid of Anakin as she met the oncoming blade that was heading for Anakin's head. A third clone jumped over the head of the first one in order to kick Anakin but was pushed back from Kit, who ran over to Anakin's aid. How the hell are the two of him? Kit asked as he slashed Naruto in the leg so that he couldn't move but was met by an unimaginable sight. Naruto simply puffed into smoke. What the fuck? Kit exclaimed as Anakin tripped up the clone that was attacking Sakura and stabbed it in the heart, effectively making the clone puff away. The three looked up at the real Naruto, who still had an emotionless mask on. How are you making solid copies of yourself? Anakin demanded. Naruto shook his head and started one-handed hand signs with his unoccupied hand. Fire shot no jutsu, Naruto said as a fireball shot out of his mouth and sped toward Sakura. Sakura froze in her place. How was he making fire from his mouth? Kit acted quickly and ran in front of Sakura. Kit lifted his hand up to the fireball and made a shield out of the force to block the incoming fireball. As soon as the fireball hit the shield, Anakin dashed forward to engage Naruto before he could use any more jutsu. Anakin brought his lightsaber down upon Naruto's head but was blocked. Anakin quickly slashed at Naruto's right side but was again blocked. Naruto countered by hitting Anakin in the chest with the hilt of his saber, then swung it around to stab Anakin before he could recover from the attack. The lightsaber was inches from his heart before another blue beam intercepted it and shrugged it off. Kit soon followed up the parry by kicking Naruto in the stomach, making said person hunch over. Anakin and Sakura had both of their lightsaber over the back of his neck, ready to kill if necessary. Give up. You are outnumbered and outclassed, Anakin said calmly as he walked up to said person. Naruto began to laugh a very empty laugh. Naruto lifted his head to reveal a pair of golden eyes with 3 tomos circling his pupils. Outnumbered, yes, but outclassed. We'll just see about that, Naruto said with an evil grin before puffing into smoke. What the, when did he do that? Kit asked before Anakin was kicked in the back, sending Anakin stumbling forward. Damn, he's quick, Anakin thought as he brought up his hand and force-pushed Naruto, making him skid across the ground. Sakura and Kit were soon on Naruto in the blink of the eye. Anakin soon joined the fray as he recovered from the blow to his back. When Anakin looked into Naruto's eyes, he saw that he was relatively calm, but that since Naruto always had that emotionless mask on anyways, it was hard to tell. Anakin went for a stab to the leg but was parried when Naruto blocked the attack and led the stab to the side, sending him stumbling past him. Kit slashed at Naruto but again was stopped when Naruto ducked under the horizontal swipe and kicked Kit in the chin, making him fly into the air. This is taking too long. I'm going to have to thin the numbers a little bit if I'm going to win this battle, Naruto thought as Sakura went for a stab to Naruto's heart. Naruto began to charge his hand with lightning as she jabbed at Naruto's heart. Naruto again parried her jab to her right, leaving her open for an attack. Chidori. Naruto shouted and rammed the blue lightning arm through Sakura's heart. Everyone stopped what they were thinking and simply stared at the two. Sakura's eyes were wide but quickly softened as she looked into Naruto's eyes. I should not have underestimated you, Sakura whispered into Naruto's ear before she coughed up some blood onto Naruto's shoulder. Naruto slipped his arm out of Sakura and turned to the others. When did Ahsoka get here? Naruto thought as they all continued to look between Naruto and Sakura. Ahsoka seemed to be crying from death of a comrade and shaking in hatred by who did it. You bastard. I just started to think of you as an ally. Ahsoka shouted as she pulled out her green lightsaber. Anakin answered Ahsoka before Naruto could speak. He is a mercenary, Ahsoka. They could change sides whenever they see fit. That is why they are never to be trusted, Anakin spat out. Naruto still had his emotionless mask on as he again got into ready position. Then why did you trust him? Ahsoka asked. Because I thought he was different from all the others, Anakin answered truthfully. Kit finally caught on to what was going on. So you hired him as a bodyguard so you can mend some relations with him. And we showed up, he saw us as a threat and decided to fight against us. Damn, sorry about that, Kit said shamefully. That's not the problem anymore. We need to finish this fight before he can get another one of us, Anakin said as the three bore holes into Naruto's as he picked up Sakura's lightsaber. Naruto grinned as he stashed away Sakura's lightsaber. What's so funny? Ahsoka shouted, but her question was answered when two separatist battleships entered the atmosphere. Dropships started to land where the village was in the distance, along with Republic dropships as well. Two Republic dropships landed behind the two Jedi and Padawan as clone troopers, along with Cody and Rex, filed out of the dropships. A separatist dropship landed behind Naruto as droids started to flood out of theirs. Rex and Cody both noticed that Sakura was dead next to Naruto with a hole that was big enough for an arm to go through it. Naruto killed her, didn't he? Rex asked. Ahsoka nodded slowly as she wiped away her tears. They all knew that Naruto was forced to fight them because the higher-ups told them to arrest him, but that didn't make dealing with the fact that another Jedi was killed by a lone mercenary. Especially when there were 3 Jedi there against 1 mercenary. We have an order to bring you to safety, sir, a droid with yellow painted on him said to Naruto. Naruto nodded as he turned back to the group in front of him. I hope to work with you again, Skywalker. It was fun, Naruto said as he turned and placed his hat back upon his head. Naruto walked calmly past the droids to the drop ship. Stop him. Everyone fire. Anakin shouted as everyone began firing their weapons. The droids quickly responded by firing back at the clones. Anakin, Kit, and Ahsoka all started running forward as they blocked any blasts that were heading their way. Naruto and the commanding field droid slowly entered the ship and turned to see how the battle was going. The droids were outnumbered and there were 2 Jedi and a Padawan on the enemy side. Of course they were going to lose, but they were only there as a distraction so they could get out. The ship slowly started to rise as the 3 lightsaber-wielding group fought through the droids to their objective, Naruto. Anakin saw the ship start to rise and jumped onto the side of the ship, holding on only by his arms. He looked up to Naruto and the commanding droid both looking down at him. Naruto walked over to him and stood directly in front of him while looking down at him. Do not take this engagement personally. You and your men asked for this when they landed and tried to arrest me. This is not the way I wanted this mission to end, but I had no choice. Hope to work with you again, Anakin, Naruto said before smashing his foot into Anakin's face, making him fly down to the ground. Since Anakin wasn't that high up, he landed on the ground with a good smack. Anakin slowly stood up and looked into the sky after the dropship as it slowly made its way back to the battleship, along with all the other dropships. All the droids have been eliminated, sir, Rex said behind Anakin. Good work. We couldn't get Naruto though, Anakin said with a smile. Such a tragedy, Kit said with a grin but frowned when he set his eyes on Sakura. How could a mercenary best 3 Jedi? Kit asked. He's a good warrior. We underestimated him and so we struck for our flaws, Anakin said as Ahsoka walked up, hearing the entire conversation. I thought he was on our side, Ahsoka said with a saddened look as she watched as 2 clones put Sakura's body onto a stretcher and bring it to one of the 2 dropships. He was until he was threatened. Once a mercenary is threatened, they tend to think that they are immediately betrayed. Naruto takes this rule onto a more extreme level than others, Anakin said as he finally looked into Ahsoka's eyes. They were fully of grief and happiness at her master's words. So he only retaliated? Ahsoka asked. Anakin nodded in return. Well, that's a relief. It is. I'm glad that he won't stop getting missions from us because of all that happened. Sure, the Senate won't like it, but that doesn't mean we won't stop hiring mercenaries, Kit said as he looked up into the air. The dropships seemed to be on the battleships and were retreating out of the area. Let's head back home, shall we? Anakin said as they piled onto the dropships and headed to their battleships so they could head home. So you managed to kill a Jedi? General Grievous asked as Naruto stood at the edge of a boarding craft with at least 20 other super droids inside. Consider it payment for this boarding craft and the 20 droids, Naruto said before closing the doors to the ship. Well, if we ever want a Jedi dead, then I will ask for his assistance, Grievous thought as he turned and started to walk back to the bridge. Are we ready for light speed? Anakin asked as the 2 separatist ships darted off into the distance. Sir, we have a problem, replied a clone that was operating one of the many control panels in the room. What's the problem? Anakin asked in a friendly voice. Since he knew the crew, he didn't have to be so harsh to get them to listen. It was his ship after all. There is a single boarding craft heading towards us. What are your orders? The clone asked. Try shooting it down with the smaller weapons, and if it manages to connect with the ship, order all units to merge on the zone of entry and destroy all clankers that come out, Anakin said as he turned to Ahsoka as the guns started firing up. Why do you think they are coming? Ahsoka asked. No idea, but we better be ready, Anakin said before they felt a hit on the side of the ship. Looks like they breached the hull, shouted the clone. Let's go, Anakin shouted as they dashed down the hall. They came upon the hull doors only to see that the clones were getting ready to enter the hull. Ready? Rex asked. Ready, Cody replied as they opened the door and were immediately under fire. All the clone troopers hid behind boxes and started to return fire at the 20 super droids. The droids were quickly dealt with before Anakin saw a white-cloaked man with a straw hat jump into the cockpit of a fighter. Naruto's fighter, to be exact. Anakin quickly stopped fighter after he cut down the last of the droids to tip his hat to him. Thanks for holding my fighter. Hope to see you again, Skywalker, Naruto said emotionlessly from underneath his hat as the glass covered the cockpit. Naruto's fighter quickly levitated in the air as it prepared to leave the battleship. Why aren't you attacking him? We could stop him here, Cody asked. Anakin simply shook his head and smiled. No, let him leave. I think everyone needs a rest after what just happened, Anakin said as he turned and left the hull, quickly followed by Ahsoka, who seemed to know what her master was talking about as they both made their way back to the bridge of the ship. 1 week later. Rajan wants to do what? Naruto asked he master. They have been on board their ship for about a week now for rest and relaxation after their long and grueling missions. The two were currently walking down one of the many hallways the enormous ship had. He wants to make a base on the icy planet of Auto Plutonia, his master said calmly. Why would he want to do that? Naruto asked as he put a hand to his chin. He says that we need a place to settle down so we aren't always moving around, his master said. No, not that, but why Plutonia? Naruto asked. It is said that planet is uninhabited and would make a perfect place to hide from anyone, Naruto's master commented. But I thought that they were under the protection of the Pantoran. Naruto asked. And here lies the problem. He have decided to try and keep a base there a secret, but if are ever found out by anyone then we will conquer the planet and call it our own, the master said in an all-knowing voice. I see. Well, that isn't a bad idea, but what if there are creatures that live on that icy planet? Naruto asked. We have already thought about that and have a plan, his master said. Oh, and what's that? Naruto asked curiously. We will strive for peace and live peacefully with the native inhabitants, but if they refuse to allow us to live there in peace with them, then we will be forced to attack and wipe them off the face of the planet, Naruto's master said grudgingly. Naruto nodded his head in understanding. I am accustomed to the killing of an entire group of people, so I can take that well enough, but where are we going to get the men to fuel this possible war? We don't have a large enough army to support a possible global war, Naruto said. Do you remember that mission I was called off to when you left for yours? His master asked. Yeah, why? Naruto asked curiously as they approached a door that he has never been through. Well, let's just say we paid a visit to Kamino, his master said with a huge grin on his face as he opened the door to reveal 5 cloning machines. There were several scientists looking through the information on how to use these impressive units of technology. So we would only use it to secure our place on this planet and nothing else. Naruto asked. We won't even have to use it if we make peace with the inhabitants of the planet. If there is any, that is. But we will use it to secure our place there and watch over the area, and also look what else we nabbed, his master said as he pulled out a machine that was pocket size and what looked like a microphone. What is it? Naruto asked. It is a device that can translate your language or another language to your own, his master said with great pride. You mean a translator? Naruto asked. That's it. We thought it would be a good idea to have one of these in the near future, so we pocketed it for later use, the older man said as he placed it back onto the table. Probably one of the smarter ideas I've heard in a while, replied as they both turned and walked back down the hall. As they walked past one of the rooms on their way back to their rooms, they heard a reporter over the radio say something unexpected. It seems that the Separatists are pushing the Republic back as General Grievous seemed to be fighting even harder than usual after the skirmish that was on one of the smaller outer-rimmed planets. Naruto smiled to himself as he turned into his room for a good night's sleep. The icy wind blew over them as Naruto and his master walked across the icy bridge toward the village that was secure under the cliff made of ice. The inhabitant creatures walked out of their huts to watch the two men wearing straw hats and white cloaks walk into their village. The creature that looked like the chieftain walked out of the larger hut at the back of the village and started towards the two. The two still had the words of their captain still ringing in their heads. Strive for peace. They might have killed 5 of our clones, but we can overlook that incident. If war is declared, then retreat from the village. They are expert hunters, so don't underestimate them, Rajan ordered to them. Peace. That is what we are looking for. Once the chieftain made it to them, it held the spear above its head as if it was about to stab them. Neither of them moved at the gesture, it could be an act of peace between them. The spear was stuck into the ground in front of them and the creature spoke in a weird grumble but was quickly translated by the machine in Naruto's sleeve. We are sorry for the attack on your men, but we must protect our hunting grounds. Please, let us be at peace. We are known as the Tals, the chieftain said as all the creatures readied themselves for what was about to happen. We accept your peace offering, but at a cost, Naruto's master said. The chieftain looked at the two suspiciously but urged for them to continue. Let us share this land. We wish to be a part of your culture, as we don't have a planet to call our own. We wish to share this planet so we can prosper together or fight and die together, Naruto as they both took off their hats and sealed them away in their sleeves. They were both wearing gas masks but you couldn't see their eyes because of the heavy tint that was on them. They slowly pulled off their masks to show themselves. Naruto had his normal Sharingan on in case of any ambushes that could be set up upon their arrival, and his master had a white cloak covering the lower part of his head and ears, while Naruto had a pure white scarf that covered up everything to above his nose that he pulled up when he took off his mask. The chieftain seemed to be thinking of what to do and asked one of his supervisors of what to do. What do the others think? The chieftain asked to the crowd that has formed behind them. The only way they could have recognized what they said was by the translator Naruto was holding. The Tals shouted and screamed, but the two lightsaber-wielding men had no idea what they were saying. I wish we could put those gas masks back on, they were nice and toasty, his master said, but fell on deaf ears as the Tals finally stopped yelling. We have come to a decision. We will allow you to settle on our planet and we will live together in peace, but please stay away from our hunting grounds, the chieftain said. Would you please give us the area of where your hunting grounds are? Naruto's master asked. The chieftain handed him a map that was drawn onto a piece of cloth. This is the area that we hunt. Stay away from there and we will all be at peace, the chieftain said. Naruto nodded and held out his hand for the creature to shake, but instead got enveloped into a huge bear hug. Looks like someone likes you, his master said as Naruto turned off the translator. Just shut up, Naruto said. The chieftain let go of Naruto so they could report back to the ship. No, their speed bikes. Is construction of the base almost complete? Rajan asked one of the many droids working on the base. It should be complete in under 24 hours, the droids said before getting back to work on the base. The base was built into one of the sides of the ice cavern. Since no one could survive when they walk on the tops of the cliffs, it was impossible to land on the top of the base unless you were landing your aircraft into the hangar that opened up at the top. The only way to enter by foot was the doors at the front of the base. The door was located between two cliffs that stretched deep into the cliff, but it was no maze. There was one path that let you enter it, but the entire path had strong points and guards all along it. The clone commander has made use of this and built a defense system into the side of the walls in and leading up to the entrance of the main gate. The cloning vats have made at least 700 clones, and the small armory that was on the ship have made blasters for all of the clones, and we have made uniforms for them so they couldn't be mixed up with other clones in the Republic clone army. The uniforms were made of a thick cloth, able to resist the harshest of the cold climate here on Plutonia. They had long sleeves and thick gloves, but not that thick so it would reduce their combat effectiveness. The neck of the uniform had a miniature version of Naruto's cloak as to not reveal their neck up to their chin, but it wasn't as long as Naruto's because Naruto's went up to his nose. They called this part of the uniform the Golden Shade, named after Naruto and his special eyes. The clones wore a helmet that covered their head and owned to their mid-necks. They all wore gas masks that were similar to Naruto's and his master's. These masks kept their faces warm and toasty out in the freezing snow. They wore thick combat boots that kept out both the snow and the cold. The color of their uniforms were white, including their helmets, gas masks, and rifles, but since they didn't wear armor, just a uniform, it was easy to tell the difference between them and the other clones that fought for the Republic. The uniforms were made for the winter climate. It kept them warm, even in the coldest climates. Naruto changed what he wore as well. Naruto wore all the same attire that the clones had, minus the helmet, and he still wore his white cloak, but he took off the black clouds, but the inside was still black. Naruto doesn't carry around a blaster but is learning how to be a sniper by a woman that was their organization, but Naruto still had his straw hat from his Akatsuki days back on his planet, minus the bell. He only wears a white helmet when they are on secret missions, which there weren't that many, as well as a pure white scarf which he wore around his neck when he has on his gas mask but pulls up to his nose to conceal his face underneath his collar and to also keep it warm. Naruto also regained his power to use his Mangekyo Sharingan again after another week of rest. Their rifles were almost exactly like the Republic's except they were painted white, as to blend in easier, and the color of the blast was not the traditional blue or red, it was white. They choose to use white because once fired in this climate, it would be hard to see where the shot came from, and finding the crystal for the white laser was harder than it looked. Naruto and another mercenary had to go to the bottom of the deepest cavern on the planet in order to get a piece of the crystal. Thankfully, once you get a piece of it, you could replicate that color and put it into the magazine. You didn't have to put a crystal in every magazine so you could get that color. They asked to use Naruto's black crystal but were turned down for good reason. The crystal is very unstable, so using it on a large scale like that was a bad idea. The clones were split into platoons for each commander that Rajan saw fit, but was ultimately gave control of the clones under other clone commanders. One clone commander was in charge of the gate guarding its entrance leading up to the gate, other clone commanders were in charge of commanding certain strategic areas around the area. Rajan saw that Naruto and his master were possibly the most level-headed men in the group, so he gave them both 50 men that were under their control. A group of 50 immediately started to get to know each other and talk about what they were to do. The clones used the same DNA as all the other clones in the Republic Army but were told that they are under the rule of Rajan and the other higher-ups. The clones nodded their heads in respect and were convinced that they were under a different rule, other than the Republic. All clones were trained under strict order and were soon some of the most elite soldiers in the galaxy. Having been on missions with some of the mercenaries toughens them up so they are able to fight anyone and anything. And now, 3 weeks after construction, a cloaked man was seen shooting across an icy desert with 10 spec soldiers at his back as they drove their speeders across the Great Plains. Since their organization was known as the Black Knights, Rajan decided to change their name to the White Knights because of the climate of their planet. Now their name was renowned as one of the top deadliest and ruthless mercenary organizations in the galaxy. The Great Plains was known as just that. There was an enormous open field of snow where wind could kick up 200 miles per hour with a large crack going down the middle with several ice spikes jutting out of the earth. Walking across is suicide, but since their allies in the opposite canyon across the Great Plains are masters of this land, they know how to travel across this land. The clone soldiers got the name Spec from their allies as well because you don't see them until after they shoot, and if you do it would only be for a second. Why are we out here, General? Is this another training mission? Asked one of the soldiers behind him. Our allies from across the Great Plains said that sent us a message saying that there were some bases full of some unknown force near their village. They want us to help investigate the base of what was left after the carnage. They killed all inside, Naruto said calmly as they crossed the icy bridge connecting their land to ours. There were to guard towers with several houses scattered around the towers for the soldiers to sleep. A clone and a Tal talking to each other outside a spec house. This was a common sight because the Tals had men set up on the other side of bridge and had huts along the bridge as well. All White Knight clones had a translator on the inside of the Golden Shade if they were going to be in close contact with a species that didn't speak Basic. Once crossing the large bridge, Naruto saw a large circle with 2 combatants in the center. One Tal and one Spec soldier were walking around the edge of the circle, both looked to be having a good time. The two ran at each other and started to spar. These friendly competitions are also a regular sight as this allows us to learn their fighting style as they learn ours. These spars also build up relationships between the two forces and help us learn how to work together. Once the spar was done, they would sit down in a hut and tell each other about their weak points and their strong points. Truly our two cultures were mixing perfectly. An unknown force. Wonder who it could be. Do you think it was the Pantorans? Although they don't know about either of us living on this planet, do you think it was them? Asked the same soldier as before. We will see soon enough, Naruto replied back as the Tal's cliff came into view. 5 Tals riding Naglachas were waiting at the entrance of the cavern. The 10 Specs and Naruto stopped in front of them. This way. We will guide you to the location, said one of the Tals. Naruto nodded to confirm what he said and followed the Tals as they made their way toward the location. True that the speed bikes may be faster than a Naglach, but the snow creatures are not that far behind. Upon arriving at the location, about 8 miles at the southern end of Tal's controlled Great Plains sector, they saw a large ice building with several Tals standing outside. Once they made it to the entrance of the building, a commander of one of the Tals walked out of the building. Naruto extended his hand for the Tal to shake but again was enveloped in a vicious bear hug. Why do they only do that to me? Naruto thought as the Tal commander put Naruto down. This way please, the Tal commander motioned. Naruto was smart enough to put a translator into his collar before they left. The base was big enough for them to start manufacturing their own munitions, rifles, clothing, and translators. Well, enough for the men that they had. Once they reached the inside of the base, they saw dead Republic troops everywhere. So this is who was here. Naruto thought as they continued up the tower the command room, leaving behind 5 spec soldiers to guard the entrance. Naruto looked around the room at all the high-tech equipment and wondered what the Tals were going to do with it. Sir, Naruto said, getting the commander's attention, what are you going to do with all this equipment? Probably leave it here or destroy it. Whatever the chief wants to do with it, the Tal commander said before turning to the 7 other Tals in the room. Naruto shrugged at what the commander said and waited for what the commander was going to say. All right everyone, let's head out. There is said to another base over this hill and we must take it out because they are destroying our hunting grounds, the commander said as everyone in the room went to get all the Tals in the base and left to destroy the other base. The only people that they won't kill that are in their hunting grounds are the White Knights because they get along so well, but if the knight refuses to leave then they won't hesitate kill him. None of the White Knights, clone of mercenary, has dared to cross into the hunting grounds unless they are lost. Are we going to help them? Asked one of the soldiers that were walking behind him as they exited the building. No, they can handle it themselves, but what we can do is watch, Naruto said with a grin from underneath his gas mask. The others seemed to agree as they made their way to their speed bikes. Well, that was quick, Naruto said. He leaned against his bike in front of the droid base. The commander walked out of the base and noticed Naruto and walked up to him. Do you know who these people are and what these things are? The commander asked. They are the Separatists, leader of the droid army, and the people at the other base the Republic, leader of the clone army, Naruto said emotionlessly. Isn't your army made of clones as well? The commander asked in curiosity. Yes, but these guys get more training than their men do, so they're a little bit tougher than those guys, Naruto said, getting proud auras from the 10 specs behind him. Don't get too cocky. That will only lead to your death, Naruto said. Everyone seemed to understand what Naruto was saying. Naruto turned back to the Tal commander. Expect a visit from the 2 sides. They might want to speak to you, Naruto said as he turned and got onto his bike. Are the White Knights stand behind us if war comes upon us? The commander asked. Naruto turned his toward the Tal with his hat still on after all this time. We will stand next to you but not behind you, my dear friends, Naruto said before the 11 White Knights sped off into the distance. The commander seemed beyond pleased with what Naruto. It showed that the White Knights see them as an equal partner, even though they haven't mastered space travel. Little things like this means a lot in the long run. What do you mean we aren't going back to base? Asked one of the specs that were with them. We are going to watch over the Republic base in case they come to investigate, Naruto replied. Why not the Separatist base? The same spec asked. Because they don't give a shit about dead droids. They will send an investigation team later than the Republic would, Naruto said as they parked the bikes under a sheet of ice that was connected to a large ice spike about the size of the Republic base. Since the specs utilize in surprise attacks, they modified their bikes to be absolutely silent when they are driven, as to not unnecessary attention. True that they could be seen like all other speed bikes, but these are silent, letting them get a quick and silent getaway. Ah, Chairman Cho, Senator Chuchi. I suggest you wait here until we can secure the area, an older Jedi said as two Pantorans and two Jedi walked up to each other. I respect your judgment, General Kenobi, but I will go where I choose. This is Plantoran territory, Chairman Cho said as they stood across from each other. I thought this planet was uninhabited and therefore it's not aligned, Anakin said. Our world of Plantora is the only civilized planet in this system. I'm the one who asked the Senate to protect this planet. This wasteland belongs to us, Chairman Cho said demandingly. With all due respect, Chairman, this is for the Senate to decide, no us, Obi-Wan said. Ah, but the Jedi report to the Senate. Which is Senator Chuchi of Pantora, Chairman said as he let the Senator take the conversation over. Technically speaking, Master Jedi, the Chairman is correct. Since the planet is uninhabited, the moon of Pantora reserves the right to continue as its protectorate, Senator Chuchi said. Point taken, Senator. Anakin, you stay here with the Senator while we secure the base, Obi-Wan said as he walked inside. Anakin simply nodded, unknowing to them that they were being watched. I have a weird feeling we're being watched, Anakin thought as he ordered Rex to set the sensor beacons. The 11 men in all white watched as the clones started to set up sensor beacons. Good thing we have sensor jammers on or we would be fucked, Naruto thought as he praised his master for coming up with the idea for the sensor jammers. They are built into all of the Knights' uniforms, making them virtually invisible, in their climate of course. Looks like they are heading to the Separatist base, let's get back to the Tal's village and warn them of our visitors, Naruto whispered over their communicators inside the gas masks. Naruto and the spec troops made their way to their speeders and shot off into the distance to warn of the incoming visiting of the Republic Army. 2 speeder bikes arrived at the Tal's village. Most of the Tals stayed where they were, and watched the 2 Jedi approach their chieftain. The Tal's chief raised his staff and smashed it into the ground in front of the 2 Jedi. Good approach, my friend. Ask for peace first, and if there were to be a war, then the cause of it would be placed onto them. Thus, gaining the Senate's praise, Naruto thought as he watched from his vantage point from behind an edge at the top of the cavern that the village was in. The Tals started building villages on their side of the giant crack once they showed up. Making more villages in similar areas was not a bad idea since they did need to expand. The 2 Jedi and the chieftain walked into his hut for further diplomatic talk, but Naruto was sure it would be tough since they didn't possess a translator that they normally wore in their suits. About 1 hour later, the 2 Jedi and the chieftain walked out of the hut. Naruto was hoping peace would be an opposition between the two of them because whatever war that the Tals got into, the White Knights would also have to support them as well. Obi-Wan stretched out his hand, but the Tal's chieftain did a similar motion that Naruto knew all too well. The chieftain enveloped Obi-Wan in a massive bear hug. Naruto smiled at this action. I'm glad that peace is somewhat assured. Now we only have convinced that power-hungry chairman to see the light of peace, Naruto thought as the 2 Jedi boarded their speeders and raced back across the bridge. Once the 2 Jedi disappeared from view, Naruto jumped down from his position on the ledge higher in the cavern and landed next to the chieftain. The chieftain never flinched at this. I see that you are striving for peace. Good thinking, my friend, Naruto said as the 2 looked at where the Jedi left. I hope that we don't have to go to war. War for either of us would be devastating and weaken our already small numbers. We might have been expanding and reaching to new places, we still don't have enough men to fight against them, the Tal's chieftain said gravely. Naruto put a hand on the Tal's back. You alone might not, but together, we may be able to hold them long enough to cause some trouble, Naruto said with a smile. Naruto took off his hat and gas mask once he entered the village so he could look friendly to the Tals in the village, but he still had an eye smile similar to Cassius, except Naruto's was with both of his eyes. The Tal's chieftain enveloped Naruto in a huge bear hug that almost cracked his back. Thank you for what you are doing. How will we ever repay you? The chieftain asked. Most of the other Tals overheard the conversation and now like the White Knights even more. Naruto in particular. We are allies. We need nothing in return, Naruto said as he walked behind one of the huts and jumped onto his speeder. Then the chieftain remembered something. Where are your men at? The chieftain asked as Naruto pulled down his scarf so he could replace the area where his scarf once was with his gas mask. They went back to the base to tell what's going on, Naruto said as put his hat back onto his head. Naruto was about to speed off until the chieftain stopped him. Wait, will you please be the diplomat for the White Knights? The Tal's chieftain asked. I don't know. I have a history with one of those Jedi, Naruto said, but he seemed to still be thinking. All right, but I will only show if it looks like the decision seems to be war, Naruto said. The chieftain nodded and went to get onto his ride. Let's go, the chieftain said as they headed out. My men will probably be on the bridge by now, so if I call them they probably won't be that far away, Naruto thought as he called for high men to head back. A voice crackled over his headset. Copy that, General. We'll meet you at the separatist ship, quietly, the spec trooper said before cutting out. Upon arrival, Naruto pulled behind the building that was meant for diplomatic talkings. His men were waiting for him behind the building. Glad to see that you all made it here safely, Naruto said as he parked his speeder. The loud sound of the Republic speeders howled in the background. Of course we made it. We are under your command, General, replied the lieutenant of the group. Touché. Okay, we are only here for diplomatic reasons. There will be no firing or killing here at least. If we do indeed go to war, then we will retreat to the Tal's main cavern where the two Jedi were before and set up a defensive position there. One of you are going to have to be the runner and rush to the bridge and tell them what is happening. Leave now while we take care of things here, Naruto said in a commanding voice. All the men nodded and got ready for the word. Naruto hopped up onto the building and peered over the opening at the top of the building just in time for Chairman Cho to signal what was about to be a bloody and cold war. Then war it is, Chairman Cho said grinningly. The droid translated it to the Tal's chieftain, but the Tal's never moved. Instead they said something unexpected to the Pantorans and the Jedi. The droid translated. The chieftain says that now that you are at war with us, then you are now at war with our ally, the droid said. What? What ally could a bunch of scum like them have? They don't have the technology for space flight. Who are they? I demand it. Chairman Cho shouted. The Jedi were curious as to who allied them, but hard-pressed not to kill Cho for what he is doing. The droid translated. Once the droid heard who was allied with them, C-3PO turned and told them what it has heard. They say that they are allied with the White Knights, the droid said. Chairman Cho burst into laughter while everyone else seemed frightened or hard set on finding out if it was true. Do you really think I would believe that? They are one of the most deadliest mercenary groups in the galaxy, and you expect me to believe that you are allied with them? Chairman Cho said between laughter. Suddenly a white-cloaked man jumped down from the hole in the roof and landing next to the Tal's chieftain. Everyone was silent for what seemed like ages. Are you? Anakin asked, but was stopped when Naruto talked. I am the representative for the White Knights, and since you are now at war with our ally the Tals, you are now at war with us, Naruto said as he took off his hat to reveal his gas mask. Everyone thought it looked scary because of the bug eyes and the fact that you couldn't see his eyes. Naruto quickly sealed his hat away and then took off his gas mask and sealed that away as well. Naruto quickly pulled his pure white scarf up so that no one was able to see the lower part of his face. Naruto had his normal Sharingan on and ready for any attack. Chairman Cho looked winded but still had blind confidence in his men. No matter. We will continue to be at war with the scum of the Earth Tals and a small organization like the White Knights, Cho said. Naruto and the Tal's chieftain shook their heads and walked past the stupid Republic army. Once they left the building, Obi-Wan couldn't help but ask, was that Naruto? Anakin nodded his head as he watched where Naruto left with the Tal's chieftain. Once the three made their way outside into the blistering cold, Obi-Wan ordered Rex and 25 men to guard Chairman Cho. This is just a setup for disaster. Is everyone ready? Naruto asked the runner that just arrived. The storm was beginning to make it almost impossible to fly, which was not uncommon here. These storms were almost always here 24/7. This was a weird case where the sky cleared for more than 2 days, so it was normal that it was beginning to pass over. Yes, they are building a defense on our side of the bridge and are currently making more clones and training the ones that are almost done with training so they can be deployed to the battlefield, the runner said as they say atop the cliffs along with hundreds of other Tals. 25 speeder bikes showed up into view as they rounded the corner toward the Tal's capital village. Now, the chieftain shouted as Tals began popping out of the ground. Ambush! Rex shouted as he and his men made a circle and hid behind the bikes for cover. Spears started to land all around them as they began firing back with the blue-colored blasts. Suddenly a white blast smacked into one of the clones next to him. A white blast. Rex thought as he looked where the blast came from, and there, in a crouch position, was a spec sniper. Everyone has heard of the Spec because they go on missions with some of the mercenaries from the White Knights. They are deadly accurate and just a good all-around soldier. Rex sighed. And to think that just Naruto was going to be enough for one trooper. Another white blast hit another trooper on the other side of him. This time he found out it was Naruto who had sniped the poor clone. What can't this guy do? Rex thought as he gunned down another Tals. Suddenly a flurry of white blasts started to hit all around them, one struck down Chairman Cho. When he saw Naruto stand and draw his lightsaber he knew that they needed to retreat. Everyone retreat. Load up and retreat, Rex said as Naruto began to walk down the side of the cliff. Rex picked up Cho and sped off with the remaining troopers and a wounded Cho. Naruto withdrew his lightsaber and jumped onto his speeder bike that they used for cover. Let's go guys before the Tals get to them, Naruto said as the Spec troopers followed the general's lead and went after the remaining clones. Keep firing. Don't give them an inch, Rex shouted as the horde of Tals dashed at the staggering 8 clone troopers that were fighting for the dear life. Behind on the huge ice bridge were at least 20 Spec troops firing from their embedded defenses on the bridge. 5 clone ships landed where the now 7 clone troopers. Everyone stopped firing or charging once the ships landed. Senator Chuchi stepped out of the dropship along with Anakin and Obi-Wan. The senator seemed to grab the now dead chairman's helmet. What are they doing? The chieftain of the Tals asked Naruto who was hovering beside him. Probably asking for peace because the only one who wanted this war was that crazy chairman, Naruto said as they moved to meet the senator in the center of the battlefield. Naruto was accompanied by 1 Spec trooper while the chief was accompanied by 2 Tals warriors. The senator stabbed one of the Tals spears into the ground in front of them and placed Cho's helmet on top. To die for one's people is a great sacrifice. But, to live for one's people is an even greater sacrifice, the senator said while looking between the 2 forces. They both started blankly back with all of his headgear off except for his scarf. I choose to live. What will you choose? Chuchi asked. She stuck the head of her spear into the ground and placed a helmet of one of their leaders on top, signaling that they are asking for peace. We will gladly lie by your side, Senator, the Tals chieftain said as he stuck his end of the spear into the ground next hers with the head facing up, signaling that they accept the treaty. They both turned to Naruto who was looking emotionlessly back at the senator. Naruto shook his head in grief. Shocking both the Tals and the senator. Why not? Aren't we all looking for peace? The Tals asked pleadingly. Naruto sighed. I wish we could accept your treaty but there is a code that we must uphold when someone declares war on our organization, Naruto said while looking at the ground. The soldier next to him knew exactly what Naruto was talking about. By this time, Obi-Wan and Anakin walked up to see what all the commotion is about. What is this code? Obi-Wan asked. In order for this war to end, you must capture one strategically important area that is under our control so you can force us to surrender, Naruto said calmly as Spec troopers began to set up defenses on their side of the bridge. So all we have to do is capture one strategically important area and this war is over. Anakin asked. Yep, though we do have plenty of strategic points, you guys might want to try and capture the bridge instead of the others. The others are almost near to impenetrable, Naruto said as he looked at his men making defenses and talking to the clone troopers as they did so. Some clones even helping him out some. What about us? Are we just going to watch as the bloodshed continues on? The Tals chieftain asked with worry for Naruto covering his grungy voice. Naruto smiled. That sounds about right. You are no longer in this war so you are free to be neutral, Naruto said as he walked back to his bike. See you guys when you attack the bridge and I hope that arrest warrant is off my head by now because I'm not being arrested very easily, Naruto said as he and the 10 men shot off towards the bridge to help with the defense system. He was right, the Tals chieftain said in his native tongue. Since Naruto or another Spec soldier with their translator turned on wasn't around to translate his voice for him, nobody knew what he was saying. This is going to be a bloody war. 2 days later, the Spec troops were lined up behind walls of solid ice in front of and on top of the bridge looked at where the clone troops massed for the final assault to end this war. Naruto stood at the top of the bridge with his sniper rifle as the clone commander of the bridge collected his thoughts at what was about to happen. Naruto's master was standing next to him, as he was here to help hold the bridge. They were both wearing their helmets so you could see the gas mask they were wearing. The two groups agreed that if the Republic is able to capture the bridge, then they would win the war, but if the White Knights were able to hold the line, then they won the war. There were about 250 spec troops defending the bridge, while the clone army had about 900 troops, with more coming. Suddenly a whistle blew that sounded the assault. Naruto looked through the scope of his rifle and put it on a clone trooper's helmet and pulled the trigger, thus making the first shot of the one most bloodiest battles in the galaxy. Obi-Wan, Anakin, Rex, and at least 900 clone troopers stood behind the dropship as cover, in case a sniper decided to take a pot shot. The assault was expected to be brutal and bloody since air support is out of the question and spec soldiers are known to be deadly and trained very well, but they lost one of their most valuable allies, their surprise. Spec soldiers are best when you don't see them first and are able to keep you questioning where they are, but now they are forced into a corner so they can't utilize in their specialty. Everyone ready? Obi-Wan asked. Yes sir, Rex replied. Obi-Wan nodded and pulled a whistle to his lips and blew as hard as he could. Everyone ran around the dropships and toward the bridge, firing their blasters, with Obi-Wan and Anakin front. A single white blast smacked into a clone soldier's head as they continued to run at the small wall of spec soldiers. Once they neared, a hail of white blasts started to hit all around them as Anakin and Obi-Wan blocked blasts with their lightsabers. They saw Naruto put his sniper rifle down on the ground and pull his lightsaber, along with the man next to him. The man next to him wore the same attire as Naruto and had a white-colored lightsaber, and he didn't hold his in the reverse fashion as Naruto did, but in a normal stance as everyone in the Jedi Council did. The two White Knights ran past their men and toward the two Jedi with tremendous speed and smashed into the Jedi like bulls as the rest of the troopers ran past them and toward the spec troops on the bridge. Naruto facing Anakin while Naruto's master facing Obi-Wan. Nice to see you again, Anakin, Naruto said from underneath his gas mask. Likewise, Anakin replied as he shoved Naruto off of him and force-pulled him closer. Naruto went through some one-handed hand seals to counter the offensive. Fire shot no jutsu, Naruto said as he shot a single fireball towards Anakin. Making him jump to the side to dodge the attack, Naruto dropped to his feet and swung his lightsaber down upon Anakin, but Anakin blocked the strike and rolled out of the way and finally stood up. Anakin dashed forward and sliced at Naruto, but Naruto jumped back at Anakin once he was done with the slice and smacked Anakin in the face with the hilt of his lightsaber, making Anakin stumble back. Naruto was about to attack until he heard a yell from the other battle. Naruto and Anakin turned to see Obi-Wan pull his lightsaber out of his master as he pushed him off of himself. Naruto dashed to his master's side. Naruto hit Obi-Wan in the stomach with the hilt of his sword and then followed it up with a punch to the chest and finished it with swift kick to the side of the head, making him slide across the ground next to the downed form of Anakin, who was steadily getting up. Naruto bent over his master with tears in his eyes. His master started to cough up blood. What happened? Naruto asked as the one person he opened up to outside of his planet started to die. It wasn't his fault. It was an accident, his master said between coughs. Naruto still held on to some of his hatred for the Jedi Order, but he let some dissipate from himself. I want you to take this. Learn the way of the forward stance. I have scrolls in my room of the base. I hope to see you on the other side. Then his master died because of pointless war. Firing could be heard in the background as spec troops continued to fight for the bridge as the two Jedi were now watching the marvel in front of them. Naruto turned to them with tears in his eyes. I didn't mean to, Obi-Wan start, but was interrupted by Naruto. What's done is done. I know it wasn't your fault, but that doesn't bring him back now, does it? Naruto said as he picked up his master's lightsaber. Naruto knows a little of the way of the forward stance but has not mastered it. Naruto stood up quickly with his Mangekyo Sharingan on and pulled his lightsaber out along with his master's. Naruto held out his black lightsaber in the reverse style that he always did, but now he held a white lightsaber that his master used in the other hand, but now the point of the saber was pointing at them. An explosion went off, signaling the renewal of their battle. Anakin took the offensive and dashed at him. Naruto did the same trick Obi-Wan that Naruto did to Anakin a few moments earlier. Obi-Wan slashed at Naruto, but before he could connect, Naruto backed up and let the slash pass him. Naruto leaped forward as to strike with his master's lightsaber, Obi-Wan down, but Anakin, having seen this attack before, blocked the attack for him. This is going to be a little tougher than the three other Jedi. Those three not coordinated at all, while these two seem to know each other well. Naruto thought as he shot the hilt of his black lightsaber up towards Anakin's stomach, but was dodged when Anakin jumped out of the way as Obi-Wan grabbed the hilt from the side. Naruto kicked Obi-Wan so he would let go of the hilt of his lightsaber and countered with a downward slash onto Obi-Wan, who was still in front of him. Anakin decided he would flank and attacked from behind. Naruto pulled up his black lightsaber and blocked the attack from behind. Naruto had two power struggles on each side of him and was stuck from any movement at all. All Naruto could was overpower them of jump out of the way and send them crashing into each other. Naruto was a second away from doing just that but stopped when he saw at least 100 clone troopers walking over the bridge. "Looks like we win," Naruto said in a calm voice as the two Jedi let up the pressure. Naruto retracted his sabers and pocketed them on his belt. Naruto then walked over to his dead master and picked him up. "I'm sorry for what happened. I never meant to hurt him," Obi-Wan tried to explain. Naruto grinned and shook his head. "I know. He told me what happened," Naruto said as he walked back towards the bridge where cheers from the Spec troops flared up in their victory as wounded men or the uninjured carried the dead back across the bridge. The small group of Specs has won the battle against a larger force. Once Naruto made it to the other side of the bridge, a soldier was tallying up the deaths on both sides of the small battle. It showed that the clones lost up to 800 men while the Specs lost 113 men and one leader while the clones lost a staggering 783. True that the White Knights won the battle, they lost a leader, and those are harder to replace than a normal soldier. The next day, Naruto and Rajan stood next to each other with Obi-Wan, Anakin, Chuchi, and the Tal's chieftain standing across from them. Naruto was holding a Tal spear and he wasn't wearing his headgear besides his scarf. "Do you now accept the agreement and live for your people rather than die?" Senator Chuchi asked. Rajan was also holding a Spec helmet. Naruto lifted spear above his head to stick into the ground next to the two other spears. Naruto stabbed the head of the spear into the ground. Afterwards, Rajan placed the Spec helmet on the top of the spear. "We honor your agreement now that the code is fulfilled," Rajan said with a smile. Rajan was a human, about the size of Naruto except a little shorter, with red hair and brown eyes. He wore what all the Spec troops wore. Cheers erupted from all around him as the Tals, Specs, clones, and Pantorans all erupted in cheers. "I'm glad that ended before this war lasted any longer," muttered Senator Chuchi. "Agreed. We lost more men here than at least 2 conflicts with the Separatists," Obi-Wan said as Naruto walked up to the 3 standing in a circle. Naruto lifted his arm out for Obi-Wan to shake. "Why are letting me off the hook? I killed your master. Aren't you mad?" Obi-Wan asked. "It is true that I am a little irritated, but my master taught me how to rid myself of such emotions, and plus, I have lost close one before," Naruto said as Obi-Wan took his hand and shook it properly. "But this doesn't change the fact that the Separatists could still hire us," Naruto warned. Both Jedi nodded at this. They were a mercenary organization for a reason. "Good. Then I will see you all on the battlefield with Uo against you," Naruto said with an evil grin as walked back to Rajan. Anakin turned to Obi-Wan. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Anakin asked. "That guy would make an excellent Jedi if he put his mind to it," Obi-Wan said before the 2 Jedi walked off into the crowd of clone troopers. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.